We are going to go into our last fireside chat. The topic will be engaging and enabling people through change. I'm just going to have a little quick look and see whether I'm still alone in the rain room, and I am still alone on stage, but that's okay. We will be joined by Julia from the PepsiCo group in Benelux. Julia is change manager, and also Philippa, who is organizational change lead for digital transformation at Lamb Weston Meijer. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly bloody, so my apologies. Julia is Brazilian Portuguese, living in the Netherlands, or has done for a year now. So she's probably been going through quite a few changes herself while she adapts to a new country in the middle of a pandemic. That was very, very brave, Julia. And obviously the change manager for PepsiCo, so busy doing stuff for the region of Northwest Europe at the same time. She's proud of the things that she's learned and developed in the different areas that she's been busy with and had the opportunity to work in. Philippa started her career at Nestle, but has worked in a range of different retail organizations. So RHM, the UK's biggest food manufacturer, and Tesco, the UK's largest food retailer, or third largest in the world. And Philippa will be, well, I mean, you'll be showing a lot of insights, but I just want to finish by saying that you take a lot of pride and fulfillment in not only bridging cultural divides and appreciating and celebrating differences, but also empowering everyone that you work with and have the pleasure of working with a passion, empathy, and enthusiasm. Ladies, over to you on this exciting last topic of the day.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Very nice.
Who's starting?
Who's going first?
I'm starting. So I want to start this fireside chat just giving you an example of one of my experiences that I went through to especially to engage, enable people through change. So we can start our conversation from there. So I want you guys to imagine digital transformation in sales, where the sponsor wouldn't give us any chance in his agenda to talk about the project. So the sponsor was at the time the VP of sales. And then when I had the chance to present the change management plan to him, he got really scared with the amount of training needed for his frontline team. And he said, that's not possible. And then I told him, like, okay, so can we sit together and then I'll share my change strategy with you so you can understand why we need it. And then this gave us a great opportunity to bring the whole project in, actually. So even the project leader that couldn't get like 30 minutes in his agenda started being able to share the project status and issues on a weekly basis, all due to the change management problem, I would say, or maybe issue that was raised in the meeting. And this little opportunity really made a difference in the whole project. So he became an advocate of the change. So whenever I needed him to be there and talk to people about it, to support us in bigger meetings, he really changed his ways and the way that he saw the project. So sometimes a small opportunity can really make a difference to the whole. But after I had the opportunity to engage the sponsor, I still had a full frontline team to engage. It was a big change for them. That's why we needed so much training. It changed the way they worked. It changed their roles as well at the field side. So what we did is that with the early adopters, we gave them the chance to be the change agents. So we recorded videos with them, like talking about how was the experience of having now a cell phone to do their job, that they didn't have any digital tool before. So they could engage their peers, people could relate to them as well. We also gave them the chance to say what they felt needed to improve in the system, because we had the end user really sharing their thoughts and their own experience, and we did take it seriously when we brought back to the project and said, okay, from these suggestions, what we can address and really deliver the best for end users. So independently of the level of the person in the organization, if it's a stakeholder for change, it's very important that we give everyone the opportunity to be part of the change. And this really, really helps engagement and enabling people throughout the change process. So my tip, I would say, is that to engage the people in the top, it's super, super important, very relevant, and maybe that's where we need to start from, because they will make the decisions that will determine the rest of the project and that will affect the rest of the stakeholders. But don't forget to engage the other levels of the organization as well. And there are many, many ways of doing it. And as far as you can go, the best it can be through your change process as well.
Thank you very much, Julia. I can see Philippa nodding a lot in the background there. Philippa, would you like to sort of resonate on some of those points or just reflect on them back to the audience?
Yeah, I think I'm really completely aligned with Julia on how, to bring change agents in at lower levels of the organization and to use them as a sounding board to listen to the guidance and input that they give. And I think what Julia said was really important, was to act on it. So you don't want it to feel that it's a waste of time for people. They want to feel that they're heard and they're listened to. So that completely resonates with me. And I absolutely agree that having, whether you call it a change champion network or whatever you call it, but having some form of structured groupings that run down the organization. So yes, talking about everything at the top, we've done a lot of that today, and that is, again, really important, and I don't want to undermine that, but we really also need to think about having that trickle all the way down through the organization and not just worry about leadership and the decision makers. And I think the thing that I would add to it is that during these times of COVID and us not being together in person, having these kind of networks has been an extra strength, but also an extra challenge. So it's something that we need more than ever, but it is very difficult to run these while everybody is still based at home and working virtually. So one of the things I personally love about working in change management is that I feel that we're all very honored and gifted because we have the power to really influence people on a personal and a professional level. So we can really help alleviate stress. We can help make things better and improve people's situation. And that is quite an honor. And so in times of COVID, this has been even more important as well. So the stress on people has been immense on all of us and everybody we work with. And so a few things that I've adapted and a few things I kind of added to how I do change management pre-COVID is to have a couple of extra layers built in there. So for the key team people or the key change champions or whomever, so all the key players who are really heavily involved, I have both a structured setup. So yes, we have a set meeting at a set time every week or whatever, and it's a group situation and you cover off the things that you normally would. But I've added a couple of extra layers. So as well as having a group situation, I'm also having a structured one-to-ones with people so that they can really open up and share how they're feeling. And they don't feel that they have to stay happy and say everything's great, because that's what I found in a group situation is people will not necessarily want to share how they're feeling right now. So a very structured one-to-one, but then also sort of mirror that in an informal way as well. So I have very informal group meetings where, we will sit and have a cup of coffee or even eat a piece of pizza together. And also on a one-to-one level, just very informal. Let's just kick back, relax, and maybe not even talk about the project. Maybe not even talk about what we're going through with relationship to what we're working on, but just the general frustrations and the general heartaches that people are going through right now, personally and professionally. And so I have found that although you might feel it's moving away from change management, it's not, because we are, I say, in a way, partially guardians of people and how they're feeling. And we need to get to the end of the race together. If we don't cross the finish line together, everything falls apart. And so that's a lot of what I've been looking at recently. So everything Julia says, and then that sort of extra layer added in as well right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Philippa. Are those extra layers something that you've also done, Julia, in your change role within your current organization?
Yeah, I think what Philippa added is super, super interesting, but also what I've been doing in my current role is also bringing new perspectives on change management. Mm-hmm. So like on the capability side, neuroscience of change. So people start looking at change differently from a new point of view. And this, I also noticed, that really helped some leaders to truly understand what happens to their employees when we bring change to the table. Because many times in the leader position, it's easy to say, no, that's a great project, just let's do it. But they don't realize the impact on their people. And when we bring the, like, okay, every time that you talk about change, this is what happens in your brain. And then that's how you can balance and then make people move forward. Like, okay, now I understand better, and I think twice before just saying like, okay, let's do it, we're ready, and that's it. So I think, yeah. So that's one of the things I'm doing.
A great thing to bring into it. And I've looked at stuff like that on a personal level, but I haven't brought it into the business yet. So I'm going to be stealing that tip, Julia. And I think that's really interesting. And like I say, to take that to the top to help what's happening lower down is an absolutely fantastic idea, especially right now. It's really needed.
What about, I mean, we've gone through a whole load of different topics so far today, and clearly this is the last session. I mean, I don't know, were both of you in some of the other sessions earlier? You were? Yeah. Okay. Are there any bridges that you can build, ladies, from things you've heard what we're talking about now, which is around engaging and enabling people through change?
Yes.
Go on, Julia.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I think the one of the bridge that I made was regarding the new hybrid working model. I even had the chance to have a network with Henrietta, and I even mentioned it to her as well, is that we are talking about it in PepsiCo as well. We have like a global policy that's looking at it. And then when I brought the people side to the project team, I'm not personally involved in the project itself, but I also believe that, okay, we need to look very careful at this change. It is still a change, although it sounds very positive. And the first reaction, it was like, no, it's okay, people want it, and that's it. And I'm like, yeah, but we kind of can have some kind of resistance, any ways of working. You don't know if people will adapt to it, No, but people are very eager to go back. Yes, but we will not go back to the same way it was. So this really, really rang a bell in my head. And then it even get broader than this, like, so how do we build trust, humanness, and fairness in this setup, while we're just thinking like, okay, people are eager to go back to the office some way, and then we already established that we'll go back twice a week, and then the 3 other days a week we'll stay at home, and then it just sounds as everything solved and great, but we didn't look at the other side of the hybrid model, what changed. So definitely a great insight.
Yeah, good connections there. Philippa, from your side, what kind of resonated with you from one of the earlier sessions today?
I think it's kind of a red line that's run through nearly every session I've been in, if not every session today. And it brings joy to my heart that empathy seems to have been a very hot topic this year. And I love hearing that. I know that we need, the various change models. I know that we need the various tools and all the things that we do use. I don't want to minimize the need or how important those things are, but they've always been what leads in the past. And now I'm hearing a lot more about the people side, a lot more about the empathy side. And I mean, that's our very topic today, is engaging and enabling people through change. So I think that the red line has run right the way through to our talk right here today. And that makes me really happy that as a group of change leaders, we're all beginning to acknowledge and see how important the people side is, and not just about making sure that you have a sponsor who makes the right decisions, or that you have a beautiful stakeholder map that has all the checks in the boxes. It's more than that. It's about the deeper side of working with humans and how we can, kind of make the impacts that we want to make and deal with the changes we want to make without sending people through to burnout or high stress levels. And so I would say that's what's resonated for me most today, for sure.
Thanks, Philippa. And there's a comment actually for you in the chat, which says that I really like what Philippa described about being the guardian of the people and how they feel. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's all of us to be able to do that. So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Something shared around that, of course, would be ideal within an organization, isn't it? Julia, anything else? What would be your sort of, if someone comes to you and is kind of either on a journey which is a little bit challenging of getting engagement or enabling people, or just embarking on a project with that objective and purpose in mind, what would be your sort of either guiding principles or sort of top tips about what they should consider?
Okay, I think the first question is like, who do you need to engage? So you need to have very clear, like, who are these people that are essential, and think broadly, as we're just discussing now. Don't focus only on the leadership side, not only the execution side of the change. So I think that's my first guiding principle. The second question is, how do you think these people feel related to this specific change? And then from there we can build an action plan and a real plan to really act, and also like to almost like personalize the approach, because what happened to me in that project with that sponsor will not happen probably again, and then I need to find new strategies to engage different people, and different people are engaged in different ways. So sometimes it's hard to do a very personalized approach, but the more you can get to this point, the better it is.
Very good. Thanks, Julia. Same question to you, Philippa. What would be your sort of advice to somebody embarking on a journey which is challenging, or about to start something quite major in their business? What are your top guiding principles?
Yeah, I think it's probably about having multiple layers. So again, it's very similar to what Julia's saying. So it's have different groups maybe for different purposes. So what is relevant to them, and also engage people differently. So it might be about having a group of super users who get incredible training from the start, who are going to be your ambassadors across the organization and are going to be there throughout the journey that others have to take. And even after everything needs to be embedded later on, they're still there, very knowledgeable, and a group who can help train others, help answer questions. But then you also might want a group of change champions who are more specific to the project itself, and who would be your eyes and ears and voice sort of in and out of the I say project, but yeah, project group. And even, for example, what I've done previously is have kind of these community groups who would be using the new whatever it is you're developing, so that they would start the new way of working even on paper or before you get to doing things, so that this group of experts can feed back to you and give real-time feedback on, this won't work for us in our department because this. And so you can have all different layers of things going on. And as you build that up, that will help the whole organization change and sustain the change for the long term as well. So it's not a one size fits all. It's about tailoring. Maybe you can't do it on a personal level, but certainly taking different chunks or different areas of the business and involving them on different levels is really the way to make this happen. If you take quite a solid line approach, it's going to be very difficult to see long-term success.
No, very clear. There's a question on the chat. I'm not sure whether we have partly answered it, but I'm going to ask the question anyway, if I may. Who would you see in the Change Champion network within the organization? And in brackets, specific leaders, ? Employees of each department, ? Who would like to answer that? Julia or Philippa?
I'll go first, and then Julia, please just jump in as well. The way that I'm looking at things at the moment, based on various learnings, is actually have my Change Champion network as a double layer as well. I know I keep mentioning layers today. It sounds very strange. But so you'd have a leadership group within the Change network, and they are maybe responsible a bit more for guidance of the rest of the team, of making sure things connect to strategies and a slightly higher level of thinking. But then you would also have your sort of mid-range employees rather than your leadership, who are also then change agents, who are more involved in being your ambassadors and spreading the word and helping information flow in and out. And absolutely, I would say you want this across all the functions that are going to be impacted by the change. So if it's a small change, that might just be a couple of functions. If it's a huge transformational change, you might need people involved from every single department within the organization.
Thanks, Philippa. Julia, you want to add anything onto that?
No, not really. I think my answer would be...
We like Philippa's answers, don't we?
We're aligned on this stuff.
Very, very similar, and I really shared the same thought on this one.
Yeah, I can feel the connection. By the way, the question answer has just said thank you very much for the response, because that was very helpful. There you go. You can't hear them talking, but I'm talking for them. Let me ask you a question, maybe not such an easy one. Oh, there is another question, actually. Are your change agents always people who do that as part of their other role? Maybe Julia. Mm-hmm. Are your change agents always people who do that as part of their other role?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Philippa, same for you?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it is always a little bit of a battle. I think you do need to talk with line managers and people in advance and try and share a little bit about how much time you will expect from them during the course of the project. So actually, I was just working on this last week, and for some of my change agents, I was saying it will be 2 hours of their time a week that I will be needing. So it's not an exact science, of course, but just to have that agreement with their line managers in advance so that they can help schedule the workload and help understand how much of their time will be taken.
Yeah. And I think it also helps to consider that these people, they are in the business, so they really act as eyes and ears for everyone that is in the project. So to keep them in the business role that they play is actually a very good help for us.
Yeah, yeah.
So they keep connected to the bigger function or team that is being impacted.
Yeah, very important. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. You're agreeing with each other. You're just obviously very supportive of each other's. I was hoping by the end of the day there'd be some serious debate and some disagreement, but no, we're going to finish on a very, very agreeable note here. Ladies, I want to say thank you very much to both of you for, it's always a bit of a challenge going last, but you did a fantastic job. So well done to you both.